Is it working? I'm live. My name is Kayla. Welcome to my channel. And today I'm going to talk about chronic illness, specifically Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome, Postural Orthostatic Tachycardia Syndrome, Dysautonomia, fainting, fatigue, all that kind of stuff. So the reason I'm going to talk about this is because it is very relevant to me. So I'm going to start by talking about symptoms that I have and how this affects my life. So I've been dealing with this stuff since I was a kid. I remember my doctor writing that I had a heart murmur when I was a teenager. I was excused from doing gym class in high school because my doctor said that I had exercise-induced asthma, which I guess is like a form of exercise intolerance. Once I went on a hiking trip when I was 15 and I nearly died. Everyone else on the trip was fine. We all had heavy backpacks with everything we needed to spend a few nights in the woods. And I was actually looking forward to it. But a few minutes of hiking, I was hyperventilating. It did not. So I've never been overweight. I used to walk to school every day. It was probably like a mile or so away. I was in pretty good shape, but for some reason I just couldn't handle exercise. I couldn't handle the hiking trip. I have a problem with like dizziness. Sometimes I'll just kind of pass out or almost pass out. Things will go just fuzzy and gray. Now I use a shower stool because I get extremely dizzy in the shower and sometimes I just have to like sit down. Now that I have an Apple Watch, I know that feeling. My heart rate is actually increased, which is kind of strange. So the increased heart rate thing is called tachycardia. And sometimes this happens when I go from like lying down to standing up. I have a bunch of other symptoms that are like all related to this too. So I'm not going to get into the symptoms too much. I'll just kind of name off a bunch of stuff. I have a lot of like pain in my stomach, bloating, gas. I mentioned the dizziness, lightheadedness, nausea, fatigue. My heart rate will go really high. I get like a lot of heartburn and reflux. I get shortness of breath. So when I mention like how I'll get like really dizzy, it's almost like I can't breathe at the same time. It's a terrible feeling. I get like this tightness in my chest and heart palpitations, and sometimes I'm like shaking really badly. So recently, my doctor said my thyroid was overactive, which probably contributes to the shaking, and I'll get into that separately because I don't think the overactive thyroid has anything to do with this group of issues. But this group of issues all seem to be related to each other. And I've only recently realized that they're all related. So I would like go to the doctor and mention one thing at a time generally. And I think that was the reason it took so long to kind of come to a conclusion on what is actually wrong with me. So I was saying the shaking, tremor kind of thing, headaches sometimes, exercise intolerance, I already mentioned. When things are like really flaring up, I have trouble concentrating. I seem to always have really cold hands and cold feet. So I seem to have trouble tolerating temperatures at either end of the spectrum, if it's too warm or too cold, which is just, it makes life very, very difficult. So the word, I think I say it wrong sometimes. Dysautonomia, I think that's how you say it. I'll have to check it again. But anyway, I'm going to get into how this is all related. So first, Ehlers-Danlos syndromes. They're a group of 13 syndromes, actually. And they are a type of connective tissue disease. Now, connective tissue, I know before I started figuring out what was wrong with me, I really didn't understand a lot of this stuff. So collagen is the main connective tissue, I guess, and about 1/4 of all of the protein in your body is collagen. So you find that in your, it's a structural protein, so it gives strength to your hair and skin and pretty much everything in your body, actually. So collagen is a major structural protein forming molecular cables that strengthen the tendons and resilient sheets that support the skin and internal organs. Bones and teeth are made by adding mineral crystals to collagen. Collagen provides structure to our bodies, protecting and supporting the softer tissues and connecting them with the skeleton. So I don't know if you can see this picture. This kind of gives you a sense of the structure of collagen. So it's like these ropes, basically, that kind of hold everything together. And my issue seems to be that my collagen is not strong enough. So I have another issue that I'm not going to go into in this video. I will probably talk about it in another video, but I have something called an incompetent cervix, which is just another example of the weakness in my connective tissue. So like I mentioned, Ehlers-Danlos syndromes, there are 13 different ones. I'm not going to go through all the different ones, but a very common type is the hypermobile, and it's characterized by joint hypermobility, and it can affect like the fingers, arms, legs, so small and large joints. Oh my God, people are so loud on this street. So having the hypermobile type of EDS is short for Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. I'm going to try to talk over my neighbor's loud music right now. If you have the hypermobile type of EDS, it can lead to a lot of joint dislocations and subluxations. Subluxations are similar to dislocations. And it basically, a subluxation is a partial dislocation. So you see a lot of people who have EDS will wear splints on their fingers and things like that, so their fingers don't, the joints don't pop out and stuff like that. Also, people with hypermobile EDS will have like very soft, smooth, and velvety skin, and they bruise easily, and they might have like chronic pain in their muscles and or bones. So that's just that. I'm not going to go too deeply, but if you think you have any of these kinds of symptoms, you might want to look more closely into Ehlers-Danlos syndromes. And in the description box, I put the full spelling of the word. So that is that one. Now, the other thing I want to talk about, so that kind of explains why I have issues with certain things like scarring, and I'm pretty flexible and all those kinds of weird things. But it also leads to certain gastro issues, and then various other problems. But the gastro problems are related to this issue with my autonomic nervous system. And when I get to the end, maybe it'll all make sense and you'll see how it all relates and just causes a really big problem for me. But let's get into what the autonomic nervous system is, because in order to understand the different types of dysautonomia, if I'm even saying that right, it's a good idea to learn a little bit about the basics of the autonomic nervous system, which is abbreviated as ANS. So the ANS is a very complex system of nerves in the brain, spinal cord, and the peripheral nerves. So the peripheral nerves are the ones that go out to your extremities and take the messages back to the spinal cord, which sends the message to the brain. So the ANS, autonomic nervous system, can be divided into three main areas. So you have the central brain portions, which are found in the lower part of the brain. And you also, and in the hypothalamus. I'm trying to skip over some of the more technical words because it doesn't matter that much for what I'm trying to explain here. The two other portions of the autonomic nervous system are found in the peripheral nerves, and they include the sympathetic and parasympathetic branches. So I have another photo that shows the sympathetic and parasympathetic. See, I think I'll have to make a video that is edited where I can show this on the screen more clearly. So the sympathetic system controls things like dilating your pupils, where the parasympathetic would constrict the pupils. So these things are supposed to kind of keep your body in balance. But if these systems aren't working properly, that's when you run into a lot of issues. So I think I want to go a little more deeply into this. They're talking about, oh my God, really? One moment here. I don't know how to make that